start doing a couple videos about like teacher tips, kind of more on behavior and like how to deal with students, because I feel like that was one thing in my credential program and even just in teaching in general that they don't really address. Like they give you lots and lots of resources and lots of advice and curriculum about how to teach curriculum and how to meet the standards and all kinds of legal things, but when it comes to how you manage your classroom and how you deal with behavior, I just feel like we get a lot less direction on that. I read a quote recently that inspired, quite a few just different thoughts in me and had me really thinking about how I deal with students and how I deal with parents and how parents deal with their students. So the quote is, "Every child needs at least one adult who is irrationally crazy about him or her." This is by Urie Bronfenbrenner. And Bronfenbrenner is famous for starting the Head Start program. He was a developmental psychologist and just really recognized the importance of a child's environment. If we're talking nature versus nurture, the nurturing side of that and how your parents' interactions with you and other people's interactions with you shape you as a person. And so I just loved this quote. It made me very thankful that I have people in my life, and I had people in my life growing up who were just irrationally crazy about me. Even when I was being a bratty little kid, they still loved me. They still thought that I was the cutest kid ever or the funniest kid ever, or thought that I was so smart, or put my terrible art up on the refrigerator. And I just think it's so important for every single kid to have that. Like, I know some people get kind of annoyed with parents like posting a million pictures of their kids on Facebook and stuff and saying like, isn't my kid so talented and so cute? And I kind of love seeing that. I love seeing kids celebrated by their parents. And I mean, I think we probably do go a little bit overboard with that in this generation. But at the same time, I know of kids who don't have anyone pulling for them and don't have anyone defending them, or, who think that they are the most special, cool kid on earth, and it makes me tear up just kind of thinking about this. This is ruining my makeup, so let's move on to like the more practical side of this. I'm lucky to work at a school where teachers really do care about the kids, and there have been some teachers that really, really cared about kids who I thought were just brats, actually. And once you get into middle school, I mean, kids start doing things that are really bad, and some of them start to have really bad behavior problems. Like, they do very terrible things, but they're not done yet. They're not an adult yet. We still have the responsibility of training them up as they should go and teaching them how they should behave, and teaching them what behavior is wrong and trying to help them fix it. So there have been kids who have like gotten suspended, and then teachers came in and were like really pulling for them, like, please give them another chance. I know that they messed up, but they are a really cool kid. Sometimes they know a little bit more of their backstory, and they can kind of give an explanation for why the kid acts the way that they do, and they just really want to help them. It's not always all of the teachers that are pulling for the same kid. Like, I think that's one cool thing about teaching, is that all of us on staff are really different. We have different personalities. We have different kids that we really connect with. And there might be a kid that I just do not connect with at all, and I just kind of can't wait till the year's over and I can pass him on, But then there's another teacher who just takes that kid under their wing and really, really tries to make a difference in their life. And then I might find another kid who all the other teachers think is so annoying, but I, for some reason, think that they're funny, and I kind of take them under my wing and help to develop them and work on their character and work on their confidence and work on their behavior. There are a few kids that we've talked about like in the lunchroom, and a lot of teachers are just like, they are, just so terrible in my class. And I'm like, I know, but I just kind of like them. They're just kind of a cool kid. I don't know why. I'm just irrationally crazy about them. And I just think that's such a cool phrase to apply to how adults can treat kids, especially in middle school, when they do actually start doing things that are pretty serious. And I think at that point, though, that's when they really, really need somebody in their corner and somebody to forgive them because they still think that they are worth it. So now, a lot of times when a parent comes in after a kid has done something really stupid, a lot of times these parents, I think, are embarrassed that it was their kid that did something, so they want to defend them because, they're just embarrassed themselves, and then they also do just want to defend their own kid, and I understand that, and I think that that's good. I like to see that a parent is, you know, defensive of their kid. That's fine with me. But then a lot of times too, they want to get their kid out of trouble, and I think it's kind of a knee-jerk reaction thing. Like, they kind of recognize, like, oh, I should have been more involved up until this point, so ooh, now I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna yell at the principal and yell at the teacher and try to get them out of trouble, and this is what I'm gonna do for my kid now. And that can be frustrating because I don't think that that's helpful. What I think is helpful is when parents come in and they are able to recognize what their kid did wrong, and they don't sit there and just make excuses for them. So I don't think it's helpful for parents to come in and be concerned about, like, what's happening to the other kid. So, you know, if it was a fight or something, parents are usually like, well, what's happening to the other kid? Is his mom here? Blaming the teacher or blaming other outside forces or whatever is really not helpful. And teaching your kid that things just happen to them and that they don't ever cause their own problems is not good, I don't think. I think that some adults still operate that way, and it's really detrimental to them. Like, oh, every boss I've ever had, it always discriminates against me. Like, all the girlfriends or boyfriends that I have do bad things to me. My friends are never loyal to me. Like, maybe you need to start looking at some of the things that you do to create these situations that happen over and over and over again. And I see it starting in middle school, where these kids just think that everything happens to them and nothing is fair and no one ever treats them right and stuff like that. So I don't think that what this quote about being irrationally crazy about your kid, I don't think that that's how it applies, to come in and just say, oh, my kid never does anything wrong, I'm irrationally crazy about them, they are perfect. But what I think it does mean is that you come in, if you're a parent, you know, you come into this meeting and find out that your kid got in a fight, or your kid was cyberbullying, or your kid brought alcohol or a knife or something to school. I mean, this stuff happens like all the time. And you come in and you recognize this behavior, and, you know, you turn to your kid and you say, you messed up. You messed up. You shouldn't have done that. That was a bad decision, and I still love you exactly the same. I am disappointed, but this does not change how much I love you. This does not change how I feel about you. I am still crazy about you. I want to do everything I can to help you work through this and to help you learn your lesson. I'm going to support you the whole way through. You're grounded, and we may need to look at who you've been spending time with, but I still love you exactly the same as before you messed up. And you're gonna mess up again, and I'm still gonna love you. And you're probably gonna mess up again after that someday, and I'm still going to love you. And I think that is hugely, hugely powerful. Much more powerful than coming in and saying, oh, I'm gonna get you out of this. You know, these teachers don't know what they're talking about. This principal doesn't know what they're doing. I think to help them learn to face consequences and to own up to what they did and admit it and work through it, but then just to continue to tell them, and I still love you. You're still my son, or you're still my daughter, and there's nothing you could do that would make me turn my back on you. Starting to mess up the makeup again, but I think that that is the most important message you can send your kid when they get into trouble. So if you're a parent watching this and, you know, you've got a kid that's going through this like middle school bratty stage, or they're messing up at school or whatever, I think that that is the mindset that you should go in there with. And if you're a teacher or an administrator, you know, recognize when parents come in and they're defensive of their kid, that that's good. That's something that we want from our parents, and maybe you can kind of communicate to them and kind of direct them towards this attitude of continue to accept your kid, continue to love your kid, and let us kind of help them, you know, change their behavior. Let us take the steps we need to take. If they need to go to detention and be separated from their friends, like we do our detention at lunchtime, so sometimes that can be useful for the kids. If, you know, parents need to come and sit with them during every class for a couple of days, maybe that will help shape their behavior. You know, whatever steps it is that the school feels that they need to take. And schools are not perfect. Their behavior policies are not perfect. And trust me, they spend a lot of time trying to figure out what way is best. I mean, they understand that like just suspending a kid and kicking them out is maybe not going to do that much good, but they also have to keep in mind, okay, these other hundreds and hundreds of kids at the school, how do we protect them and how do we protect their learning environment, but then at the same time, how can we serve these kids who have behavior issues and they need our help so much. So schools are constantly trying to kind of find that balance and help every single kid as best they can. I guess this video is kind of for two audiences, for the parents of middle schoolers and then for the teachers of middle schoolers. So I would just encourage those two groups to work together and just try and find a solution. And teachers, if you can find like that one kid who, you know, maybe doesn't have a lot of friends and kind of no one thinks they're cool, and maybe even like other teachers just think they're annoying, but if there's some kid that you just kind of find interesting and you kind of just find them funny, really take them under your wing and just be the person that can set an example to them of just liking them no matter what. I think a lot of middle schoolers, they are self-conscious about just being liked. Like, I was really annoying in middle school, I know, and a lot of middle schoolers are really annoying and they kind of look funny, like maybe they haven't grown into their nose and they haven't grown into their teeth and their bodies are going through these changes and they just don't feel very likable sometimes, they don't feel very lovable sometimes, and they don't know how to act yet. They kind of copy things that they see on TV, but they don't really know their own personality yet, and they just need someone to like them and just be irrationally crazy about them. There's a lot more I can say about this, and I think I'm realizing right now that this is something that I really do like to talk about and I like to discuss with other people, and maybe if there's one thing that I would really want to help teachers with, it's more along these lines of how to connect with your kids and how to really make a difference in their lives. The curriculum's important. Teaching them how to be a good student and teaching them how to be a self-directed learner, I think, is incredibly important as well, because long after they have left my class, they need those skills. But sometimes in the immediate school year, in the immediate days ahead, you just need ways to figure out how to connect with this kid who is like ruining your class and just taking away from everybody else and just has these horrible behavior problems, and it's so hard to know what to do with them. And so I definitely do not have all the answers, but I think rejecting them as a person is definitely not the way to go. And sometimes you do feel like doing that. You're like, just get out of my class, just get out. I can't stand looking at your face anymore. Be gone. But I really try to think about the long-term impacts of what I say to my students and how powerful my words are. I know that as a teacher, I'm a role model, and you have to recognize that. There are kids that look up to you and they watch what you do, they watch what you wear, they watch what you say, they watch how you interact with other people, and that's a big part of how they learn to be who they are. Keep that in mind as a teacher, and I think I'm going to try and find a poster of this quote and just put it up somewhere in my classroom next year, and just try and keep that in mind, especially if I have kids that, you know, I can kind of tell from their home life or from just the way that they act in my class that maybe they don't have anybody that's irrationally crazy about them, and that's why they try and get so much attention from me and from other kids. Even if it's negative attention, they just want somebody to pay attention to them, and they don't have somebody in their corner. Those are the kids that you really need to do your best to connect with and find. Maybe it won't even be you, but maybe find some teacher that does just have kind of this like intangible but really real connection with them, and just make sure that they are being taken care of and that they feel secure in the fact that if they did something stupid or they did something embarrassing or they messed up, that somebody would still be crazy about them and still think that they were just the coolest kid ever. And lastly, just as an adult, I think this is really important as well. I'm very blessed that my husband is irrationally crazy about me. Sometimes he tells me that I look pretty, and when I just feel hideous, like I will have just woken up and he's like, oh, you look so cute. And I'm like, what are you talking about? One time I even had like this really annoying zit right here that like just would not go away, and I hated it and I was so self-conscious about it, and he was like, oh, it kind of looks like you have a beauty mark. Like that looks so cool. I kind of wish it would stay. And I was like, what? Like, it's so weird. So I love having somebody that is just irrationally crazy about me, and even when I am self-conscious and don't feel good about myself, he gives me the weirdest compliments. And I hope for you that you have somebody like that as well, whether it's just a friend or a boyfriend or a husband or a wife or a parent or an uncle or anybody, just somebody. I pray that for you, that you always have somebody in your life that is just irrationally crazy about you and thinks that everything you do is amazing. Maybe it's even your child. My best friend has the cutest little girl, and her little girl just looks up to her mom in the cutest way. Like, she'll just say things like, "Thank you for taking me to Walmart, Mommy. You are the best mommy." And my friend and I just kind of laugh. Like, her daughter's not trying to get anything. She would do this when she was like 2.5. Like, she just thinks her mom is the coolest person ever. She just loves her and thinks that she's amazing. She's the best mommy ever. So I just pray that somewhere in your life there is somebody that makes you feel that way. Thank you for watching this slobbering mess of a video, and I hope to upload more and kind of find more topics about behavior and character development and changing students' lives and speaking on those topics. So again, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.